So, where have I been? I just recently released my first podcast episode. Um, this is my podcast is going to be here on my main channel, and also I'm going to continue doing these, just like talking head style videos. Where today I'm talking about my travels, where I've been in the world, and what I've learned from traveling overall in general, and these different places that I've been to. So, this channel is still focused on self mastery. I'm Razir the Wise One, and it's just going in a slightly different direction now. So, the direction that we're going in is more focused, more firm, more solid, because I see within myself more clearly as a result of all the lessons that I've been learning from traveling. So, here's how it went. I have my travel channel, The Path of a Wise One. So if you want to actually see my journey up until this point, where I'm currently in Vietnam, currently in Da Nang, Vietnam, then you can go check out my channel, The Path of a Wise One, and I have everything almost up to date there. It's a lot of editing that goes into that and everything, a lot of recording. So yeah, that's a different project altogether. But that's there if you want to see my travels. So I started off, of course, living in California, but sold my car. I had a nice 1999 Lexus LS 400. Ooh, that car was nice, man. I didn't really want to sell it, but at the same time, I knew that I had to, because I needed the money to actually leave California and move abroad. So that's what I've been doing for the past 4 months now. And it's it has been quite the journey, man, quite the adventure so far. It feels like it's been simultaneously longer than 4 months and also shorter than 4 months. So I'll get into that pretty soon. But yeah, sold my car, sold everything else that I could, and donated a bunch of my clothes, and basically just traveling with a backpack and a suitcase, and that's it. So first I went from LAX to Kuala Lumpur. Flew into Kuala Lumpur, KLIA, in Malaysia, and man, that was the first step in healing from what has been hurting me while living in the US. And what has been hurting me in the US has been just the overall energy of the place, but the mentality of the people, and how, for one, how expensive everything is, but also two, how just, like in a rut I felt there, because I wasn't in the best living situation. I was in places that were harmful for my health for different reasons. And I knew that I needed a change. My soul was calling me to travel. I felt the call to travel for the past like two years, like strong. And I've overall always known that I've wanted to travel. But specifically when I went to Ireland in 2024 for a basketball tryout, that was like the first time that I had my eyes open to how important traveling is for me, and how much in my heart and my soul I felt that I needed to do this. So that's what I spent the past 2 years preparing for, up until April of this year, 2026, where I finally took the leap of faith and just went for it. And so before going to Kuala Lumpur, I was originally planning on either going to Bali or Thailand first. Those are always the top two options for me. But the more research that I did, the more I intuitively felt called to KL, Kuala Lumpur. And so ultimately that became my first destination, my first time outside the US besides my first trip to Ireland. And man, when I tell you, I immediately felt just a lift off my shoulders, like the weight was just lifted, like the weight of the stress and the anxiety, and the slight depression, and just everything that was weighing on me back in the US. It just felt like, oh, I can actually lift this off of me now. And I didn't know how to actually, I didn't know how to respond to that, to not feeling that constant pressure and stress and anxiety all the time. Because now I was in a place where I had a good amount of money, and I have this place, this Airbnb that I rented out for 3 weeks, and I don't have to do anything. So I was still kind of operating in that go mode of like, like kind of being afraid of this lifestyle not being able to last because, I need to have a more income. I need to have more income. So I need to be doing this and this and that. But the more that I did it, the more I realized, wait, I'm carrying the same burdens with me that I just wanted to leave, that I wanted to leave behind. So that was like the first wake up call. That was like the first realization of, oh, wait, I can actually rest. I can actually relax. I can actually let myself heal. I can sleep in as long as I needed to, because I was also dealing with chronic sleep deprivation in the US as well. And man, I let myself sleep in so much as I needed to, because I had years of sleep deprivation to make up for. So I'm still in that same like kind of place of, making up for that lost sleep, because, sleep debt is a real thing and I'm still recovering from that debt. But moving forward from that, so much stuff was coming up within me to acknowledge and to heal from. Things such as, what is the actual direction that I'm going in my life? And what is it that I actually want to experience in my life? What is the lifestyle that I'd like to live? How healthy do I feel right now? Do I actually want to, achieve being my higher self? Do I want to, just asking myself all these questions and getting clear on them all? And that is ultimately what Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia was for me. It was a place of rest, relaxation. And through that rest and relaxation, it brought me clarity, great clarity within myself, so that now I can start to really heal from within and move forth in alignment with my highest purpose, with my highest potential. Because ultimately that's what I decided. There's no way that I wasn't going to decide that my highest potential is something that I want for myself. That was just more solidified in that moment. And yeah, going from Kuala Lumpur to Bali, man, that was another portal. And this is the theme throughout today's video, is every destination that I've traveled to and every destination that probably you and other people that I've met have traveled through, like every new place is a portal, a new portal to enter into, because every place, every destination carries its own energy. And Bali's energy is so incredibly potent, so potent. And I first arrived in Canggu, and being there was not good for me. It was not healthy for me. And this is because the energy there was mainly focused on the tourist, like the locals there, all the businesses there, everything and everyone is like focused on the tourists, the foreigners coming in so that they can make money. And that is not the energy that I needed to be in, because that was not one-to-one the same energy that I was experiencing in California. But, that aspect of just hustle, I'm on the grind, I'm doing what I need to do, not what I want to do. That energy right there is what I didn't like. And also playing into that energy as well, since almost everything seemed to be catered toward the tourists and the foreigners. The tourists and the foreigners who were there, most of them, can't say all of them, but most of them seem to be in the mentality of, like, this place owes me. Like, I own this place and I can do whatever I want. I can leave my trash out. I can talk crazy to the locals. I can disrespect the land. I can do like that kind of energy, that kind of mentality. I hated being around that. And coming from a place of healing, that was in total just stark contrast to the place that I needed to be in, the environment that I needed to be in. So I was there in Canggu for a week. Did not like it. I actually got very sick there, not like to where it was like a life or death thing, but I felt physically weak, very, very tired, very fatigued. I couldn't stand up for more than like 2-3 minutes at a time. So like taking a shower even was like a great challenge for me. And I felt very weak, very fatigued. My mind, like my head was hurting. I had a headache, like almost constantly. I could still eat, which I was very grateful for. So that time it wasn't Bali belly or anything like that, no food poisoning. But yeah, I just felt so incredibly low on energy. And that led to what it felt like my nervous system and my immune system being just totally shot. My nervous system was already shot, but it was starting to heal when I was in Kuala Lumpur. But then when I came into this environment in Canggu, man, it just felt like I was just reversing all the healing that I had just started, that I had just done. And so when I was there in Bali, I really did not leave the room that I was in. Shout out to my soul sister Majestic, because she was actually leaving out to another country, going to travel, meet with a friend and everything. She had her place open as I was coming in, so she just let me stay in her place, which was a blessing. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. Extremely grateful for that. But just the energy of Canggu itself was not for me. And so that was a lesson right there of showing me that every place that I visit is not going to be in alignment with me. The energy is not going to match with what I need in that moment. So I learned that, I accepted that, and I was feeling into the next destination for me because I knew that I couldn't stay there. My body, my spirit, my soul, everything was telling me that I cannot stay in Canggu. So I was feeling into my next destination, and I knew that I wanted to explore Ubud and see what Ubud was like. And I also wanted to go to another place called Uluwatu. This is like the big three like major places in Bali: Canggu, Uluwatu, and Ubud. And so I decided to go to Ubud first because I've always heard that there's a very large spiritual community there. There's it's kind of like a haven, like a hub for spiritual people all over the world. And so I chose there, felt right in my intuition to go there. And literally, like, as soon as I was finalizing my plans to go to Ubud, that's when I started feeling better. So I guess my body and my mind and my spirit just needed that confirmation that I am going to where I need to go. I'm going to where I need to be. And as soon as it felt that, that knowing, that's when it started feeling better. So upon arriving in Ubud, I started feeling better, but I was still, dealing with the things that were coming up, because that's another thing that came up in Canggu, was that it wasn't just not the dysresonance, not the right word, but, it's not just the misalignment of energy that I was experiencing in Canggu. It was also what that misalignment was bringing up within me, because it also brought up things that I had dealt with in the past. Like, for example, living in an environment that does not suit me, that is not healthy for me. It brought up everything that I was dealing with back home in California, because that's exactly what I was experiencing every single day. So it was pretty much like a PTSD episode, where I was experiencing all the same symptoms that I was dealing with when I was actually in the experience, but I wasn't in that same environment. So I was being triggered into that in Canggu. So I had to really let myself relax and calm down and begin my healing again when I got to Ubud. And when I first got there, it wasn't easy either, because there was construction going on nearby. And so I'm a very light and sensitive sleeper. And so that was that was triggering me, because I was still in that state of, fight or flight, PTSD. So how I handled that was I just let myself surrender to the environment, trusted that I was supposed to be there, trusted that I was in the right place. Even if, in front of me, in appearance-wise, it doesn't seem like I'm in the right place because I'm not feeling how I need to feel yet, but I trusted the process. And overall, Ubud became, like, I fell in love with Ubud. It became the exact place that I needed to be. I met so many wonderful people there, so many new friends, so many new acquaintances, and just had so many wonderful experiences that really helped me heal and step into a higher version of myself. So after I calmed down, calmed my nervous system down and started to get back into equilibrium and everything, I knew that what I wanted to do, what I felt the need to do, was connect with people, because I was healing so much in isolation, both in California and just working so much in isolation, just doing almost everything in isolation in California and in Kuala Lumpur, because I didn't really meet anybody in Kuala Lumpur. And so when I got to Ubud, I felt like there's, so many more parts of myself coming online, so much more aspects of myself being activated. And I knew that I felt the calling to connect with more people. So what I did every day from that point, when I had that realization that I needed to connect with more people, was I said a prayer. For example, I said a prayer such as, and I had my crystal, I don't have it sitting on the counter over there, but I said a prayer with my crystal, because you can program your crystals with prayers, with words of affirmation. So that's exactly what I did every time before I left the house. So I said a prayer for meeting the people who I need to connect with. Just for example, something like calling on my ancestors, my spirit guides, guardian angels, the archangels, and everyone and everything and every being who's with me and on my side. I pray that I connect, and I trust that I'll connect with who I need to connect with. And I trust that I'll have the experiences that I need to have within myself and in my external reality. So just something simple like that. But every time that I said that prayer, almost literally every day, I connected with one or a few people. Because I remember the first day that I said that prayer, I went out to a place called Sayuri Healing Foods. And it's an all vegan spot, has raw vegan and regular vegan options. And it also has a lot of live music, like almost every single day. It also has kirtans and different events. And it's just a whole space that brings people together in such a wonderful way. So I went there. And after, I went there actually before I said this prayer, did not meet anybody. And then after I said this prayer and I went there, ended up meeting so many different people. Like I saw it was a live open mic night, and I met many of the performers. I connected with like different people, and then I basically instantly had a friend group there as a result of saying that prayer and trusting my path forward, surrendering to my path forward. So since then, I became like. Since then, I started meeting people almost everywhere that I went, and it really changed my energy that first night, meeting everybody that I did, and it changed my energy. So now I become even more magnetic, and I'm not, feeding into the antisocial narrative and story that I was telling myself unconsciously before. So now that part of myself changed, where I know that I have, a healthy social life, and I can be social as much as I want to. So that was one of the main things that changed for me in Bali. And then through that experience, through that change within myself, meeting these different people, I had so many more experiences that I needed to have. Like I went water rafting, and then I went on a hike, and then just meeting these different meeting these different people at different places, going to live music, going to these different events and stuff, going to like Kundalini activation workshop, and just like experiencing these things that otherwise I would not have experienced on my own. And like I even went to my first ecstatic dance, and I'm not a dancer. If you know me personally, I don't really dance like that. I don't really feel drawn to being on scenes like that, to where it's full of people dancing and just that kind of scene where it's like party, club, and ecstatic dances are totally different. But I'm not drawn to that naturally. But having this activation within myself and feeling the call to be more social and to open up more and to have new experiences that lead to more opening up, more healing, more, more of everything within me, I went and had the experience at the ecstatic dance. I went with a friend, and then also another friend that I met before the ecstatic dance, met them there too. And it's funny how it happens, because Bali has this way of connecting people with who they need to connect with. Because these two friends that I met there, I only planned on going with one. So I met my friend there who I planned to go with. And then I saw that when I walked up, I was a little bit late, not for the dance, but I was a little bit late for the early bird call. But I saw my friend, and then I see my friend is talking to my other friend. Turns out they didn't even know each other before that point. So they met probably an hour before I got there, not knowing that, for me, not being aware that they didn't know each other. So I walk up thinking that they already know each other. Then they tell me that they only met an hour ago. So I'm like, wait, hold up, what? Like, so that's just another example, experience of how like the energy in Bali flows. It's like you'll always end up where you need to be, connecting with the people that you need to connect with, so that you can have the proper activations within yourself coming online. And then from that point, it's up to you to do the work within yourself. And so during the days, in the mornings, I would always, get some work done on the computer, even though a lot of times that's very difficult because there's so much going on like all the time there. Not to where it's like overwhelming, but it's like it's like you're spoiled for choice. You have so much abundance of options where you have, you could go to a morning meditation, you can go to a morning ecstatic dance, you can go to this place, Sayuri or Zest, and like just work there, get a meal, eat brunch, and like meet up with people and then meet new people. Like there's always something to do in Bali, and that's part of the magic of it. And so I was in that flow of staying disciplined with my work as much as I could. And then in the afternoon, I go out, meet with a friend, go to like a smoothie spot or something like that. And then later on, go to see some live music or go to another event. And there's always something going on. So every day was like a new activation for me. And then at night, I'd go home and then reflect on my day, meditate, and see what lessons I needed to learn and see what I needed to integrate within myself. So overall, that's what Bali was for me. And then just finishing off this Bali chapter, so there's a lot more that happens too. Like just one, for example, I met a local guy through my friend Shiva, and she introduced me to him, and he invited us to celebrate one of their major holidays with them with their family. And so we went through that whole like Galungan is what it's called experience, and it was amazing. So I won't get too deep into that right now, but again, just another example of you connect with who you need to connect with, because the person who I connected with, his name is Neoma, he actually has his own music studio in his home. And then also, it has this like what's called, not the statue, but the temple. Like, most people have their home temples and everything. And it was just such a wonderful experience. And again, awakening, activating, and then I spent time integrating after that. And so, but just, like I said, closing out this Bali chapter. So a few days before I flew from Bali back to KL, I had these different things planned. Like I wanted to meet with Neoman again and record some music. And then I wanted to actually cut my hair and meet up with friends by the river to have a ceremony with it and everything. And I wanted to meet with another friend and there's so much that I had planned that I wanted to do, but none of it happened. None of it happened partially because I actually got Bali belly. I got food poisoning and I was throwing up. I had diarrhea. It was not fun. It was not pleasant. It was an excruciating experience, but again, one that helped me purge all the stuff that I need to let go of. Because honestly, like I thought that it was going to be my hair that I let go of that signified and represents me letting go of all the stuff that I've healed from and learn from, and just everything in my past that I did not need to hold on to anymore. I thought it was going to be me letting go of my hair that represented that, but it was actually my body doing the purging that helped me have that experience of letting go of everything that I needed to let go of. And again, that was a very unpleasant experience, but one that I needed to have. And again, Bali will do that for you, whether it's we'll just say like a fun way or a very unpleasant way. Either way, you will have the healing and the activations that you need to have when you go to Bali. And yeah, that was basically my overall experience in Bali. Like I said, there's so much more details because I stayed there for 2 months, for 60 days. And there's so many details that I'm like skipping over and glossing over, but overall, that's what happened in Bali. And then when I went from Bali back to Kuala Lumpur to KL, it was another period of isolation for me. I stayed there for this time was 4 weeks that I stayed there. And I wanted to, I was still in that, social mood coming from Bali where I wanted to, go out, meet people and have new contacts, new connections so that, I'll see what adventures come from that. And I did meet a few people, but none of them have been like solid connections so far. And once I saw that connecting with people like how I was in Bali was not flowing the same way, I knew and I felt in my spirit, my intuition was telling me that, yeah, this is meant to be a period of isolation for you. So you have more things to integrate from Bali. You did a good job of integrating while you were there, but you can't do all the integration that you need to while you're still in that same environment. Similar to how you cannot heal in the same place that is continuously hurting you. So I needed to take a step away from Bali in order to fully integrate all the lessons. And I got clear on so many things that I got clear on, because even though I did not want to be in isolation, I accepted that it was necessary for me. And so having that isolation allowed me to see my whole life, my entire self more clearly. So the trajectory of my career, this is why I'm, posting so much more content. I created my private mentorship group, and I wrote an ebook, and I have so many more things planned, so many more, I'll just leave it at that, so many more things planned that you guys will be seeing very soon. But I had to get clear on my path forward. I had to get clear on what do I need to focus on, because when I was in Bali and when I was in KL before that, I wanted to do everything that I had planned. I wanted to have this channel going. I wanted to have my podcast going. I wanted to have my travel channel going. I wanted to have my day trading going, music production going. I wanted to have so many things going on all at once, and my mentorship group and having different clients and everything. I wanted to do everything because when I was in California back home, I did not have the energy to do anything. I was just literally forcing myself to do what I could to survive the day. That was literally my life in California. So now that I had the free time and the energy to actually focus on the things that I want to do, I wanted to do absolutely everything. But it wasn't possible. And that was because I needed to focus on one thing first. I needed to get my foundation set. I needed to get a system down so that I can focus on this one thing. And then after I establish this one thing, then I can plug in another thing and plug in another thing and then plug in another thing. Now it's this whole overall ecosystem that's working harmoniously together. But I couldn't do that by focusing on everything all at once. I needed to focus on one thing, and that's what I started doing when I was in KL, the second time that I was in KL. So that was like the main lesson. And then having that realization within myself and making the tough decision to not cut out, but to put some things on hold for a while. Like, for example, my travel channel, I'm still actively filming for that right now, but it's going to come to a close. Like, the season 1 is going to come to a close so that I can focus fully on this channel and everything that this channel has to offer. So, and then also my private mentorship group, because they go kind of hand in hand. So, like I said, laid the foundation, and now I'm getting everything put together for the ecosystem to thrive. So the way that I see it in my mind is like this. I have a garden space. And if I'm trying to have every single plant, every single seed grow at the same time, but I only have the capacity and the capability of focusing on 1, maybe 2 plants at a time, then if I try to spread all my resources amongst all the plants, all the seeds that I want to grow, then I'm ultimately just going to let the garden die because I'm trying to spread myself too thin. I'm trying to spread my resources too thin. I can't keep doing that. That's what I was doing for when I was in California. My resources were spread way too thin, and I was just barely surviving, literally just barely surviving. And then when I was in KL the first time, that's what I was doing as well, but I wasn't doing as much because I was more focused on healing. And then when I was in Bali, that's what I was doing, focusing on healing, but then also trying to do everything that I was doing, the day trading, this channel, my travel channel, the private mentorship group, the music production. I was trying to do all of it while healing and having the activations and everything that was going on and having fun and actually having a social life and everything. I was trying to do it all. But the second time in KL, it showed me that I need to not trim off, but I need to, put some seeds aside. Don't plant them yet. Just put them aside in a safe place so that when I'm ready to plant them, I can. And so going back to the garden analogy, I'm focusing on growing one plant right now. And I feel like I have grown it to a point to where now that plant is sustained. That plant is starting to thrive. Now I can focus on adding another plant. And so I can have more resources to share with a new plant. And then as that plant is growing, as both plants are growing, now I don't have to put as much into them. Now I can focus my resources on another plant. So that's my mentality with this. So it's essentially going slow to grow, going slow to grow. And then later on, maybe I could focus on growing faster and everything. But right now, it's just growing, period. Just focus on going at my own pace, the pace that feels right for me in my mind, body, soul, and spirit, and just trusting the process. Because I'll be very transparent right now. I do not have as much funds as I would like to do everything that I'm doing, that I want to do while traveling. I want to go out and do a lot more things and have more experiences, but just being totally honest, I don't have the funds for that right now. But I know that I will. I know that it's in the process. I know that it's manifesting right now as I speak, because I am trusting my process. And the more that I trust my process, the more that I actually flow in harmony with my purpose, with my intention for life, with my spirit, with my soul, the more everything will start to come online, the more everything will shape into my favor. So I'm trying not to go too deep into that rabbit hole, but that was my journey, my 4-week journey in KL. And while I was there, after I got the realization, the clarity and everything, that's when I wrote literally the first half of my ebook in one day. I wrote that first half. So I wrote 30 pages in one day. And it was just all just flowing to me because my channel was clear. My channel with the divine, with my higher self, was super clear. So it was all just coming through. And then that next day, because I literally wrote that the day before I flew out here to Vietnam. So the next day, it was literally a last minute decision of, do I really want to go to Vietnam or should I stay here in KL? Because I was in such a great workflow that I wanted to just continue that and stay in that flow. But I asked, because again, the funds to actually, get a place here in Airbnb and everything out here in Vietnam, they weren't there literally until the day of my flight. So I looked at my bank account, saw, the money came. So now I'm able to actually book a place. So now that I have the money, what do I really want to do? Do I want to go to Vietnam? Because I already had a plane ticket. I already bought the plane ticket in advance, just on faith. And knowing that I got the plane ticket, but it'd be a little bit before I actually get paid so I can purchase the Airbnb and figure out my accommodation and everything and the food and all that stuff. And the visa situation. So literally 4 hours before my flight, I made the decision to actually go to Vietnam, to go through with it. I didn't have any Airbnb booked. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't have any mental map of the place or anything. I didn't really do any research before going. I just knew that I was going to Da Nang, and that was pretty much it. So when I landed, and also it was a scramble to actually get to the airport on time too, because I made the decision so late. So that was another thing, the visa. So I didn't get approved for the visa until the day before my flight. So, because for U.S. citizens, we had to have a visa to come here to Vietnam. So I did not have that approved until the day before the flight. And then I didn't have the funds to actually purchase things that I needed for my stay here in Vietnam until the day of my flight. And so that was just a massive exercise in faith. And here I am right now, living in the manifestation that I trusted would happen. So coming here to Vietnam, I had to actually physically print out the visa. I didn't know where to print it out. I had roughly 2 hours to pack all my bags, well, pack my suitcase, pack my backpack, to find a place to print out the visa and check out of my Airbnb that I was in. So I found a place, took care of all that. Took longer than I thought and took longer than what I wanted to take. But eventually I got to the airport on time. There's still some snags at the airport because coming to Vietnam is, there's so many checkpoints that you have to go through. I wasn't even sure if I was going to make it, even though I made it to the airport. But yeah, overall, made it, trusted the path, trusted my journey, and now I'm here in Vietnam. And wouldn't you know, my friend Shiva, who I met in Bali, she's also here in Vietnam. So we got to spend some time together and just have experiences that I didn't really fully let myself have. And I could say, I let myself have those experiences in Bali. But being here in Vietnam, being in the financial position that I'm in, where it's like, I need to start making more money right now if I want to sustain this lifestyle, if I want to sustain this path that I'm on. And it's not even just like an ego thing where it's like, I have such a great life, I need to keep this. No, this is me following my soul's path, my soul's purpose. So that's ultimately been the theme for me being here in Vietnam, trusting that the more that I walk my path, everything is going to work out exactly as it needs to. So had some fun experiences with my friend Shiva, got to rent some bicycles and stayed at a really nice place that, well, honestly, it could have been better, but initially it was nice. And there's some things that came up with that I won't go into detail with, just the way that the owner was acting and, just like the certain things in the room that weren't really healthy for me. So I still got to have some wonderful experiences and had a lot of fun. But I knew that the more time that I took away from my work, the more restless my soul became. The more my intuition was telling me, you need to get back to work. Like, your intuition never yells at you, but it can speak very sternly to you in a calm voice. At least that's how it is for me. So the more fun that I had, the more that I knew I needed to balance that with work. So essentially what happened was I spent like 2 days hanging out with Shiva, rode bikes to the beach and got food and had, wonderful conversations on the beach and chilling in the water. And quick side note, that the water here in Da Nang, Vietnam is so warm. It feels almost like you're in a jacuzzi. And I'm like, coming from California, where the water, the beach water, the ocean water is very cold almost all year round. There's maybe sometimes where it's a little bit warm, but it feels like an ice bath compared to the water here in Vietnam. So I just say I really, really enjoyed myself out on the beach. Got a little bit sunburned and stuff, but hey, it's part of the game here. But I spent 2 lovely days hanging out with Shiva, but I knew that I had to get back to work. And so as soon as those 2 days were up, I literally just basically locked myself in my room and finalized the ebook, posted it, and now it's up for sale and everything. It's a workbook, 30-day workbook, where I take you and I guide you through the process of inner mastery. So essentially it's where I take all nearly 15 years of my experience being on this path of self-mastery and practicing inner mastery. I put it all into a workbook, an ebook, where every single day, day 1 through 30, I'm asking you a question that guides you to look for answers within yourself, and then I guide you to take steps towards actually uncovering those answers within yourself. So it really is a guide and a workbook, an interactive workbook where I share with you exercises that not only work for me, but work for other people, so that you can go deep within yourself and really uncover the truth of who you are. And so that you're able to embody your higher self, embody a life of healthy success and sustainable success. So that's what the ebook is, and that's what I completed. That's what I finalized here in Vietnam. And now it's up for sale and everything. Y'all, I have the link in the description. Y'all can go get that. And I guess that's like today's sponsor, myself, because we don't have sponsors yet on this channel, but hey, we're getting there. So, but yeah, go get that if you feel called to, if you want to go deeper into yourself and really gain more clarity on your path and your purpose and who you are, and achieve success, healthy success, and sustainable success from within. So that'll be the link in the description will be down below. I also have a link to my private mentorship group. And what I was getting at too, though, is that that's been basically the energy that I've been in since hanging out last with my friend Shiva. So I've been here in my room just finishing everything, finalizing the ebook, got it up and everything. And now I'm shifting my focus to content, creating content, putting myself out there more, because in my soul, I feel the heavy call, not heavy, but like the loud call, like the almost like that call that you just cannot ignore. I feel it calling me to share everything that I have to share. All my knowledge, all my wisdom, all my understandings, all my understandings, all my experiences, share it all. Because not only does my finances depend on it, but also just me walking in my purpose, walking my path. Because the finances, they're like a byproduct of when we walk our path, when we trust ourselves and our intuition and go with our intuitive flow, go with our divine flow. And so I've been not ignoring that, but I haven't been acting on it in the past. And that's why I was put in this position to where I need to get this done now. So here in Vietnam, that's been the energy. I like that. Yeah, I can go out and I can go to all these different places, go to the beach. There's a thriving nightlife scene here, even though I'm not really into nightlife like that. But so many people out here, so many expats, so many locals, so many just experiences like out in nature that I can have. And like as of today, I might go paragliding. I might go paragliding because it's my friend Shiva's birthday. So shout out to you if you're watching this. Happy birthday to you, Shiva. But stuff like that is just like, right outside my doorstep, so to speak. So I'm very grateful for these experiences and opportunities that are here for me to experience, to have. And at the same time, though, it's like deep within myself, all I want to do is just work, just fulfill the calling that is just loudly speaking to me in my soul. So that's where I'm at. And as I'm speaking this, I have a alarm that just went off, keeping me on track. So yeah, that's what my journey has been like up until now. A lot of learned lessons, a lot of integration, and a lot of work, but also mixed in with a lot of fun. So those are the journeys that I've had in each of these individual places, coming from California to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to Bali, Indonesia, back to Kuala Lumpur, and then now in Vietnam. And to wrap up this video, what I've learned overall with just traveling in general, what I've learned overall is that, like I said before, every place is a different portal. So when you step into that portal, you're being exposed to new energy. You're being exposed to new possibilities, to new people, to a new way of life. These are obvious. But what isn't talked about that much is how you personally respond to these portals that you step into, how you personally react to these, how your just body naturally reacts, how your spirit reacts, how every part of you, how every aspect of you reacts to being in these different places, these different environments. And so every place unveils something new to learn within yourself. Because it's not just learning a new culture, it's not just learning a new way of life, it's learning how does that actually impact you? What does it bring out from within you? You know, every time that we step into a new place, we're being called into a different version of ourselves. And those different versions of ourselves, they're not separate. They're meant to be integrated. So the more that the more that we travel, the more integration that happens if we choose to do the work. So that is what I'm learning overall. And the more that I travel, the more that I feel called to certain places, like in my heart right now as I'm recording this. And pretty much, as of the last few months, I felt the calling to go to Portugal, Lisbon specifically, even before I got to Bali, even before I got to Kuala Lumpur, even before I left LAX. I felt the calling. Back then it was a little bit more subtle, but the more that I felt into myself, the more that I learned, the more that I integrated, the stronger the calling has become and continues to become within me. So literally, as I'm recording this, the more that I put work into my business, the more that I put work into sharing this information and knowledge and wisdom with you guys, the more I feel called to be in Lisbon, Portugal. And for what reason? I don't know yet. I just know my heart and my soul and my intuition and my spirit, they're calling me there. And when I get there, the lessons will be unveiled for me. So that's what traveling has been like for me. Feeling the heart's calling, feeling my soul's calling, going to these places to experience what I need to experience and uncover and unveil and activate what I need to uncover, unveil, and activate within myself. So it's been one massive learning journey. And to me, that's what life is. It's a classroom and a playground all in one. So the more that I explore, the more that I experience, the more that I learn, the more that I have fun, the more that I learn, the more that I grow, all of it is intertwined and connected with one another. So I'm traveling intuitively. I'm letting my heart lead me to where I need to go. And I know that the more that I trust my path, the more that I trust my soul and my spirit, the more that I trust my divine self, my true self, the more everything will flow in harmony. And the more, how do I say it? I guess there are no words for it, because what I'm seeing and feeling within myself, I just genuinely don't have the words for it yet. So I guess in a update to this video later on, after I've traveled some more and everything, maybe I'll have the words for it. But for right now, I'm gonna leave it off there, because there's more for me to do. There's more for me to experience. There's more for me to produce. There's more for me to be and become and embody. So much love to you. I've been Razir. I am Razir. And I send this out with much love, gratitude, wholeness, honor, and respect from my heart to yours. Ashe.